All right, welcome everybody to tonight's Nature Notes with the Master Naturalists of Greater Baton Rouge. Tonight we have Amy Shutt. Amy specializes in wildlife photography with a focus on conservation through visual storytelling. Her interest in photography began at an early age. She loved Polaroid and disc cameras and received her first 35mm camera, a Minolta SRT 101, when she was 11 years old. She went on to formally study photography in college and has worked in the industry for over a decade. Amy is the director of the Canid Project, a 501c3 nonprofit founded in 2017 that focuses on photography, photo ecotourism, and community outreach to educate on the world's wild canids. Her interest in wild canids, canine domestication, biology, and a curiosity about the human and wild animal relationships in our world brought her to start the Canid Project. She hopes to preserve, educate, and inspire through this endeavor. We welcome Amy tonight, and she is quite our cup of tea. So the fact that she is located in our Greater Baton Rouge area, we need someone we need to know, and a wonderful project we need to learn about. So thank you, Amy, for joining us. Welcome.
Thank you. All right, so let's see. So everybody's muted. If you want to ask questions, Colette, are they gonna ask after? Because I don't think I can see anything else.
You probably can't. What we can do, Catherine and I will both have you, we can watch the chat.
Okay.
And if you like, we can stop and interrupt you. A lot of times we wait until you finish your presentation and then we go through after.
It's however you guys want to do it. There's not many people, so if you feel, I think it's pretty late.
Okay, we'll do it that way. So anyone with a question, just put it in the chat if it pops up, and we'll ask her at the appropriate time so we can get them all answered.
Cool.
Thanks.
All right. So let's see, let me start here. So basically, Colette pretty much already told you guys a little bit about the Canid Project, but basically our mission is to document and to share science, natural history stories, and human experience of the world's wild canids. Canids are any sort of canine, basically, wild, foxes and coyotes around the world. So what we try to do is we try to present this information through photography. We also host photography workshops, and then through community outreach, which would include things like the rescue here that we have, the fox rescue. But then also reaching out to the public, answering questions about, I get emails all the time. People are worried because they see a fox in their yard. So me reaching out to them, and just letting them know what they can do and the truth about the animals. And we all, because that's the main thing here, is that we really do strive to shed light on this idea of coexistence. And especially now, it's so important with urban wildlife just living right alongside us. The more development, the more we're going to see that urban wildlife become part of our immediate surroundings. So we're also interested in, collaborating with like-minded organizations and people on projects to help facilitate our mission as well. I'm big into the collaboration, because that's, to me, I think that's the way that little grassroots nonprofits can really make a difference in the long run. So how did the Canid Project start? So basically, I had kind of an obsession, I'd say, more than an interest with animals since I was a kid. I had a lot of pets. I was always out in the bayou behind my house catching turtles and frogs and, letting them go later. But I was, had always had dogs, and very much an outdoors kid. And I was, even when I was 10, I had like, the Peterson Field Guides to amphibians and to birds and all that stuff. So I was always into it. Also, I started taking pictures when I was pretty young. And one of the places that I started taking pictures was out back behind my house, out in the bayou of, animals. I remember some of my first ones were of an egret and a flying squirrel. So that, but then also, I went to school. I kind of went into something. I went into photography, but it wasn't wildlife photography. It was kind of fine art photography, black and white stuff, people. But then after I graduated, I went into a field that was very different. But a couple years after I graduated, I came across a fox family, and that really did sort of change everything in my life, I would say. And here is a fun picture of me back when I was 9 and my hair was wild. But this is one of the turtles I would go out and catch behind the house, and I would keep them for a little while and let them go. But just to kind of show you guys, like it's funny because once I hit my 30s, I kind of came back around to this person. It's kind of interesting. So basically this is I moved to a house on a lake, and you know, where there's water, there's always going to be animals. And so it was sort of like I got reintroduced to all those things that were important to me as a kid. So I would go out and sit by this lake and take pictures of birds, and you know, we even, like, you know, they had turtles and amphibians and all kind of cool stuff out there. So it was sort of like a reawakening of all that for me. At the time, I had put my cameras away. I never shot wildlife photography anyway, but at the time I didn't have a digital camera. I just had a real analog camera, and these are just from like a little junky digital. And then one day we came across a fox family that lived down the street, and we stopped the car, and I had never seen a fox in real life. So anybody who has seen a fox in real life, especially babies, being like the very first thing you see, it's unbelievable. It's a really cool experience. So this is right off of like Lakeshore Drive, you know, right by the lake, you know, LSU. They've always been in that area. I had just never seen them before. So they were denning under a house right there on that main drag along the lake. And we stopped, my daughter and I. She's the one who spotted them. They were coming out of a drain at this point. And it was just amazing. So we went back, you know, and tried to find them. And we found them this house is gone now, but at the time it was, no one was living there. And they had a den. And the mom was, I mean, she was used to people. She was used to, I guess, the students walking around and stuff like that. So we would go and sit at the edge of the driveway and watch them. And these are my really crappy pictures of that time, which I really wish that I had like a real camera then. But this is what sent me back into photography. It was that experience, like all of a sudden it just like came back to me, like being outside, being with a camera and the animals, and even just observing them. So if no one's ever sat and watched a fox family before, it is probably one of the most amazing experiences that you may ever have if you like animals at all. Like, it is just, they're just funny. They're fun and they're just adorable. They were getting older. They would, you know, they were curious about us, but they were still scared enough. They would never, like, you know, come up to us. But it was just a great experience. It was a great experience for my daughter.
Prosecution attempt.
I'm sorry. Oh, did somebody say something? I'm sorry. No? Okay. Anyway, so this actually kind of got me into wildlife rehab, because right after this, there was our neighbors had a raccoon in their house, baby raccoons. So they came to me. I don't know why. They were like, what do we do with these babies? So I brought them to Leslie and down in Livingston, and started volunteering with her. And then also I started taking pictures for her. I did end up getting a camera, and started taking pictures for her just to put on her website or to use however she wanted. And so I ended up doing that with Leslie for almost 10 years. It was, I think, 7 or 8 years before I went off and started my own thing. But I would go when I could and help her out, especially during baby season, because it gets really crazy. So these are some of her animals, but this all started kind of like, I did this more than I did wildlife. So this was kind of more studio-like, but it kind of got me into wildlife photography too, which was totally a new realm for me. And then I started getting interested in people and the animals. Like, so I started, you know, asking other rehabbers, could I come take pictures with them or of them doing their work? And then, you know, I started traveling a little bit more. I started working out of Africa, taking people there. And all the while I would, you know, if I were home and I could shoot people and wildlife, I would. So these are just some of those earlier shots of that kind of stuff. Students as well out of LSU. and scientists. I like science stories. So that's kind of the component that came in with the storytelling and the animals. And then, you know, like just general, then I really started getting into just straight up wildlife photography. Like I said, I started traveling a little bit. I really fell in love with Africa. This was maybe 5 years ago that I started going there. And I really like, the thing that I really am drawn to are just the relationships that the animals have with each other, and how, you know, and just watching them and observing them. And it's always what I want to, that's what I want to take pictures of. I like taking pictures of single animals, but like if I can watch them interact and then bring that back, I think it's important. I think it helps to bridge like empathy from, you know, with people to these animals, when you can show that they do have an emotional life, because they do. So it's something that I'm, you know, I just became more and more passionate about. And I kind of felt like I owed something to these foxes, because they were kind of what brought me back into this. And so, and then at the same time though, I also started, you know, I'm still curious about people who have these other types of relationships with animals. So, you know, while I might like to go take pictures of them, there are people who like to hunt them and to taxidermy them. And it's this whole world, and it's all about, to me, it's like the psychology of it I find very interesting, but it's also just something that I would like to get out there. I would like people to see these different types of relationships that people have, and how, you know, how does that, or does not, you know, does it not resonate with you, and why? You know, these are the things I'm always trying to think about when presented with that kind of stuff. So I started thinking, you know, maybe I'll start doing some like more long-term documenting. And after I had the very first, this was my very first fox I'd ever seen in rescue, and one of the only red foxes in Louisiana up until recently. It was 2006. And then Leslie got some gray foxes in 2016 that I helped her with, which are a joy. They're so different than reds. And this is another one of our native foxes here. And so I thought, you know what, let me come, you know, once a week and let me document their, you know, so we have a pretty cool documentation of their growth. This picture this is not, I mean, this is like, when we were building their enclosure, we'd let them out inside to run, and I'd get these great shots, but really this is like the first 5 seconds. Otherwise it was like this. They would just destroy everything within a minute. I mean, gray foxes can actually climb trees. They have an articulating wrist. They're one of the coolest foxes, I think. And you just don't see them much here. You know, they're out in the woods. They're living up high in the trees, but they are hysterical, and they're very cat-like in the way they move and jump, and very agile. So this was kind of what did it for me. I thought, you know what, I want to go train somewhere, and I want to rescue these foxes. I want to educate people about them. So I did. I ended up going to England for a 3-year period. I would go for a week or two, you know, ever so often when I could. And this is the oldest fox rescue in the world. They treat 800 plus foxes a year. They have 2 ambulances. So it was a great place to learn about foxes. Their foxes are a bit different than ours, but not, you know, it's more or less the same thing. So, and there they don't have rabies, so they don't have a lot of restrictions around the foxes. So a lot of, you know, anybody can help to raise the orphans in their backyard. If they have, you know, they'll build an enclosure for you. And so I did go back, and I was documenting. I was volunteering with them, but I was also documenting, and I still have a lot of stuff to go through. I have one more thing I need to document with them. But that really taught me a lot. When I got back, I think from my second visit there, I went ahead and started, this is still England, I started my own rescue based off of everything I had learned there. Even the enclosures I was building that was their design that they allowed me to use. So that was my very first little enclosure for orphans. And at the time, Leslie was very, very busy. And I had, you know, part of this was also, I wanted to help her take some of the pressure off of her if she got more foxes than she could handle in. We had just been seeing them more in rehab. So I had this set up, I think in May, with the idea that we might get orphans in, and we did. And so if you go to we have it on Instagram and also on our website, some of these, the very first year, I've got all this documented. I've got a Vimeo channel with all, a lot of information and videos of these guys. But I learned a lot, and they did fantastic. They were released in September that year. One of the females stayed around, and she had 3 litters. I think this past year someone trapped her, unfortunately. We had something happen, we don't know what, but she disappeared with one of her kids, and the father and the daughter from last year helped to raise the remaining babies. So some mom either died or she was trapped, sadly. But at least she did have 3 litters after that. Was she was sort of like my that was my one of my first releases, and it was really cool to see her around and to see her offspring. And so it was good that we could offer her that. At least she lived a good life. So a lot of this, like I said, especially talking about the people down the street from me who might have trapped her, this kind of stuff is, and I know you guys know from like Nextdoor and stuff as well, like education on urban wildlife really needs to get out there. And I feel like it's just something it's everybody's responsibility. If you know better than what you're seeing, if someone's talking about doing this or that, and that that's not the best idea, speak out. Or you can always send information to them. I have created the website, all these types of things for that as well. We do a lot here, but education is always going to be the #1 thing. So I do work with other creatives, biologists, conservationists. If you go to the website on this page, you can see some of those guys, but these are some of the conservation photographers I work with. This is the work of Neil Aldridge. He's out of England. David Lloyd, Graham, this is Africa. So I've got, that's actually a red wolf in Louisiana up in Alexandria, like at the zoo. We've got people in Canada too that we work with. So basically what our current projects right now, what we're doing is we're still doing the red fox, gray fox and coyote rescue and rehabilitation. So we do rescue them, and we'll release them if they're releasable. To help fund that, we do have the kind of canid-centric photography workshops. Of course, we couldn't do that this year. We had to cancel, but hopefully we can resume that soon. We do community outreach. I can do presentations. I do a lot of online presentations as well. I also made this year 2 downloads. I need to send them to you guys. I was supposed to, I forgot. It's like, I have a coyote PDF. It's all about like just coexisting with coyotes. And then I have one for red foxes, sort of, just answering all the frequently asked questions that I get. It also talks about their natural history, what you can do to deter them if you don't want them in their yard. But there's a lot of good information that you can also, just by reading these, you'll be able to give to people, or just send them the PDF. So that was that took a while. That was a pretty big endeavor for this past year. We're also now part of the Coalition to End Wildlife Killing Contest. And I'm not sure if you guys are aware of what those are. There's no limits. They just have, you can go, it's just, you get teams together and you go shoot as many coyotes and foxes as you want. It's ridiculous. Like they'll kill 300 to 400 in a weekend. So this is something that we're working on with Project Coyote. And I think 5 states have outlawed this year due to that. There's another fox, a brand new Fox Protection International is the name of it. And this is a girl that started it. She just graduated in animal law. And she's wanting to collaborate with a lot of people. And I told her about fox penning, which is something in Louisiana that is legal here, which is pretty shocking. If you guys are not aware of what it is, Google it, fox and coyote pens. So we're working with someone here in Louisiana to hopefully get the ball rolling on that, because I really want to end that. The other thing that we do on the science side of things is the Canid Ancestry Project that's based out of Princeton University. They've been doing a lot of studies on just North American canids, so coyotes and wolves. So I collect DNA or DNA samples. I guess you could just say, like, tips of the ear of like roadkill. If I do get a coyote in, I can take a sample from it to send into to Princeton. And it's just this very large project. If you go to my website, I've got a page on it and you can read more about it. It's really cool. If you see any dead coyotes, let me know. You don't come across them often, but it's important. And then the newest thing that we're doing this year, which I'm super excited about, is this new USFWS has actually, they basically called a team. They had a call for grant proposals to study the canids down on the coast here, Louisiana, because we just, some of them came up a couple years ago as being 89% red wolf. So, I don't know if this is a stall tactic so that they don't have to, deal with the North Carolina stuff. But the North Carolina red wolves now are down to 7 individuals. And it's largely due to the fact that USFWS, not the guys on the ground, I'm talking about the bureaucrats, they just aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing. And it's a mess. It's a mess. So I'm going to be working with that, with the group, who are actually, some of them are out of Princeton, when they come down here soon I'm going to document all that, and we're getting a website up, and I want to really get a lot of media out about this, because I think there's a lot of people who don't even realize we had red wolves here, or that they were even a thing that existed. And the fact that we're studying these coyotes, or whatever they are, down in the coast is really, really fascinating. So hopefully I'll be able to get a lot of news for you guys on that, and that's exciting. So I'm just want to kind of quickly go through some of these. These are just sort of some pictures and stories of some of the efforts. So like I mentioned, we do the rescue, and also the humane deterrent services. So what I do also is, if someone doesn't want an animal to be trapped, but like they have a problem, maybe they're denning under their house, they can call me and I'll go over there and I'll help them to either evacuate the animal. I will help predator proof the property. So that's what that part is. I love doing it. I think it's a good alternative to trapping, because trapping, especially during baby season, is just not a good idea. We're separating families, and it's just, also if you do call a trapper, you got to pay a lot of money to get the animal trapped. And the trappers, some of these animals, like a rabies vector animal, they have to kill them. So if you trap a raccoon, they're not going to release it. They kill it. So I think a lot of people, once they realize that, they're not as into the idea of trapping animals off their property. And also long term, it doesn't make any sense. You trap an animal, another one's going to come right in to fill that vacancy. Whereas if we predator proof, you can get rid of the problem forever. That makes sense. So I do have, for the first couple of years, I do have the rescue journal on the website, but more so often now, I update on Instagram a lot more often. We didn't have any babies this year, which I was actually pretty proud about, but these are some of our previous orphans that we've had. And these are the videos I was mentioning. We've got a lot of I try to make them educational. And so whatever they're doing, I'm trying to explain or show the parallel of what it is that they're doing that's similar to what they would be doing in the wild, or what they're learning how to do. So yeah, like I said, this year we didn't take in any orphans. It was the first year, and it was great because we were able to, every orphan that I was called about, I was able to reunite with their family, which is really hard because you have to also convince the people who, maybe don't want the babies around or whatever, like, let's go find the den. And thank goodness I had a lot of homeowners who were amazing and really helped with this. I also did a few over the phone. I had a couple with the coyote baby that was in Mandeville, and we found the family too. Just for me, like talking to him over the phone. So that was amazing. So, if you see orphan babies, like don't pick them up. We all know this, right? Like just call somebody and keep an eye on them. Sometimes if a mom has been killed, if the babies are big enough, they can actually, it's hard to like keep them in the den by themselves and food and make sure that, they're okay. There's probably going to be a dad or an older sister helping, taking care of them, then them from that den and rehabber because foxes are very skittish and they're just nervous and I hate seeing captivity once over 10 weeks. And they're hard to track. Also
Amy?
Yes.
We have a few questions. The contests that you talk about, are they in all states, the killing contests?
Much. Not found any here, thank goodness yet. Yeah, they're especially in the Northeast. Like Pennsylvania has so many, it's ridiculous. We got them outlawed in California. I think last year. They used to have really big ones. Texas has so many. It's I can't even, hard to fathom how many they have. Like weekend, I don't even have so many wildlife because they also target bobcats, like any sort of predator, like bobcats, but most coyotes, bobcats, gray foxes, and red foxes, badgers, or whatever else they cross. Yeah, if you Google that too, I mean, go to the Project Coyote. This is what they're doing for the past couple of years, trying to get these outlawed. It is just a waste. And dump the bodies. They don't even do it with them. It's terrible.
Well, someone also asked about the PDF that you talked about. Is it suitable as a neighborhood handout?
Yes, that's why I created it. Especially the one, it actually works as like a plan. So basically, you can use it as a good plan. It's got it in there if that's what you want to do it. Okay. But because everybody's got to be on the same page, you got to try to know if it's
okay.
And that one, sorry, that one's on the website. You can go download that one right now, the coyote one.
Okay. And you're getting that banjo effect at the end of each sentence.
I'm sorry. I have my phone plugged in.
All right. And do you locate, someone else wants to know, do you relocate coyotes locally? Or because they always hear about them killing domestic pets and wanted to know how people, how you can relocate them if they are.
You can't relocate animals. If you just kill them, because relocate anything. I mean, I'm about possums, ravens, foxes, especially foxes and coyotes, especially. What you're doing is basically dumping it into their territory of another animal, and all they're going to do to get back home. And so they just are freaked out, get attacked and killed by a competing animal at territory that we've dumped, or they get killed on their way trying to get back to home, to their home territory. So it's unethical to treat wildlife, and not only that, but with coyotes, it's absolutely illegal in Louisiana. So, like even if I have a fox that got hit in a car and it comes to me and we fix it up, and then I have to release it again, we have to release it back to exactly where we found it. So I know that it sounds nice, like, yeah, we're just going to capture this coyote and we're going to go really cut. And then you're making it all someone else's problem. That's why we have this on coexistence. If animals are disappearing in a neighborhood and if you have absolute that it's coyotes, then what you do is you do everything that you can to make that neighborhood active to the coyote. So that means keeping pets inside. That means walking your dogs, except if you have a leash. Not leaving food out for raccoons, or possums, or cats, squirrels. Make that your trash bin closed. So there's a lot that whole PDF talks about. What is this, like the long-term sustainable way to clear coyotes from your neighborhood? Only there because they're bedding in some way if they're there. If it makes sense. And often it could be somebody feeding raccoons. That brings in a lot of predators. So yeah, I know more about that, about talking more about why relocation work and stuff like that as well in that PDF.
Okay, and the last question I have in chat right now is, can you please clarify the status legality of fox hunting in Louisiana? So
we had, so fox hunting, we still have a law that you can't, as far as I know. Now, if they're endangering like something on your property, catch them in the act, yes, you can shoot it. But we do have a trapping season. So you can trap them during a trapping season. Now, there's not a ton of trappers anymore, at least not that in Louisiana. Foxes, their coats just don't get pretty here, like up north. Just don't. I mean, I do trap them, but they don't trap them as much as I do like up in the north. Have those, amazing long, full fur coats. Ours just always look kind of squirrely. But that's all I know. We had a law that protected them at one point. They hunted them basically to nothing. So, and that's still in effect. So it just hasn't been returned. But one way you can hunt them, which is totally ridiculous, is that I was talking about called fox hunting. So what that is it's legal in Louisiana. You get a permit. You've got some land. You can get a trap from the wild, coyotes and foxes, and doesn't matter. And they don't even have like a minimum amount of how much your enclosure must be. And you can put them in, pen or your yard or whatever, and run dogs on them. You're not supposed to, eat them. Basically, it doesn't make any sense to me. They're rabies vector animals. You get one in there with rabies. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just see it as a health issue. I'm not even allowed as a rehabber to have them as ambassador animals. So it's very bizarre that this is a legal thing in Louisiana. So anyway, point is that you're, supposed to hunt them there. You're not supposed to let the dogs kill them, but get some, hunting dogs off of, off the trail of a fox in an enclosed area doesn't make any sense to me. Like, it's good, they're going to kill it. But, it's Bobby Jindal also did it like a heritage activity or some crap. That's what we're trying to get outlawed right now. It's still in the backwoods of Louisiana. There's a lot of people doing this. It's like dog farm, really, wild animal there. So that's the hunting that the fox really, I think, because they live in terror, and killed by a dog. Yeah. If you want to know the other legalities as far as and stuff, I can email me and I'll send you. I've got like in the seasons and all on that stuff in Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fishery, so I can send that to you. Hello?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and the last question, well, actually, I've gotten a couple more. What is the prevalence of the gray fox in Louisiana relative to the red fox?
There's never been any sort of census done on island. However, gray foxes across the board all throughout America are on the decline due to habitat loss. They live in the woods. They're up in the trees. So just due to that, to deforestation, they're on the, and they don't, in some cases they can be neighborhoods and stuff, but they're not. It's like foxes are some of the most adaptable animals. They live right alongside us. They do living right with us. And reds also have taken over the territories to some of the grays. But red fox are not forest animals. They like open areas. And they like the edges of the wood as long as there's an open area to hunt. So I think just the landscape in North America is much more appropriate for red fox. They have expanded. And grays, you just don't see much.
What is the benefit of foxes to our ecosystem, and what do they eat?
Okay, so foxes are they're omnivores. They will eat just about anything. They scavenge. They will eat trash. Honestly, they eat a lot of bugs, especially little ones. If you get to see the babies, watch them. They will sit around and just hunt grass and stuff like that. Eat berries, eat nuts, pecans. I had them eating pecan here, my pecan tree, like weeks ago. They eat small prey, so rat, things like that. A rabbit is about the biggest thing that they take, but you have to remember they're a predator, but they're also something we flea animal. They're not fight, so they're not going to go after cats. They're not going to go after other predators. go after something like a rabbit that can't really hurt them, you know, back. I mean, foxes, they're only about 10 pounds. Yeah, so, you know, maybe a baby possum here and there. I've seen them only during baby season. Rats and mice are the biggest thing. Wood rats is what, around where I live, that I see them with wood rats on my cameras. But yeah, they're omnivores, so they'll eat just about anything.
And that's all the questions for right
Okay.
now.
All right, well, I just wanted to, you know, quickly go through this. So some of the other stuff in rescue that I got to do this year was I was able to consult other rescues who were just learning about having foxes in their rescues, that was amazing to do. We did have some pretty sad cases this year, but I was really so excited about the reuniting with the families and the out part of it. I was even able to intervene when some people baby trapped. Able to intervene and re-release the little guy, let him back to his den, and then we made the mom babies move along, and then we predator-proof sheds. So that was amazing. And I will connect people with other, because I think there's more people, you know, dealing with foxes nowadays in urban wildlife. So that's something really I've been up to. So here's some of the guys we had this year, all coyotes. The first one was one out of, she had distemper. We had to put her down. Very sad because she was actually a nursing mom. And I know her babies probably, you know, or if not, they were not already distemper. Middle one was a farm. They killed the mom. It was one of the surviving babies, but she was so little. She was so young. Her eyes weren't open. She died. This is a coyote out of New Orleans. Had one of the rare cases of mange I've ever seen. This, she was looking good. Y'all, I couldn't find the picture of when she was all scabbed up. This is something that happens when they're eating prey that is exposed to rodenticides. I'm sorry. So, you know, if you put those rat boxes that have the beta and those mice, you know, eating on that stuff, and then, you know, or owls even, it can affect the owls. And these coyotes or these foxes come in and start eating those, you know, live in your neighborhoods, become very, very susceptible to disease. And mange is one of the things that seems to really, really affect them. It's just a slow death, basically. You're getting all that, you know, all poison in small doses. So that was, yeah, crazy. She ended up she was okay. We had a lot of foxes come in from getting hit by cars. One that got caught in a trap. One in the middle is a coyote, a baby coyote that was reunited with her family, which is amazing. We baby back out in a box by the tree line, and we had, like, we did baby coyote calls, and mom came and got it out of the box. And it was just that we did not think that was going to happen. It was amazing. So this is one of my earliest, I didn't know this in here. I had a guy call and say, look, a fox den under my porch. He's like, I was pulling up boards, rotten boards, and I found the foxes. He said, can you come? I said, yeah, let me what's going on. So I go there and I look in and I thought, that's what I saw. But my God, those are fat fox babies. Like, they're huge. So I pulled one out. Is an otter. There's a guy. That was just amazing to me. This otter, he lived in White Oak Landing. It was an otter who literally made under his porch, like urban otters. But by the time, like, I left, she had come and she had taken the other two away and her den. But I thought that I'd never seen anything like that. And man, they were. So these are some of the other little guys that helped with consultations on this year. Carol, she's out of North Carolina. This is a pretty big organization, but they were now, they just were allowed to start rehabbing foxes in North Carolina this last year. Those are some of those guys. This is with some of the outreach stuff, putting a camera on a den in the backyard. I'm also going to do this. When I get questions, I'm trying to put them up on our social media and answer the questions people. If you have questions, send me and I will answer them personally, and then I'll likely post them as well. The pictures of the two ends, like I said, coyote one's available online. The red fox one put up online, but I'll do that soon. You can email me and I'll send it to you when I get it finished up. One thing that I really is just getting feedback. We've had a lot of, this is one of my favorite emails from people. This is people who wanted them gone from the yard. And then once we, I was able to talk about them and educate them on them, really realize, wow, we're lucky to have these animals here. And, Dot's pictures of them now for 4 years. And she even won a contest. And so just about once people see them for what they really are and they learn about them, I think most people can appreciate them. And this is one I saw, this is from last week. Someone was, complaining about a coyote. And so I see above comment, I sent to my PDF. And then this guy was like, oh, hey, my name is Amy. I helped him last year in his neighborhood. There were 10 babies. And I found out about it. And I went over there and I educated them, the whole neighborhood, on what they were doing, how we need to just reunite them and then evict the mom. Then we can, predator proof the yards, and it worked. So that was really cool to see. This was a year later. So we've got some new representatives this year. We've got an artist. She's out of New Jersey. We've got Robert Wilcox, who takes care of red wolves, which is super cool, in North Carolina. I met Jessica because she was treating a fox who had mange due to rodenticide. And that middle picture are the bait boxes across the street from her house at a school. Jessica now works with us. She's our representative out in New Jersey. She likes to educate on all that kind of stuff. She's also an amazing artist. So she's been drawing stuff for us that we're going to get printed, and hopefully we can raise some funds selling some of her amazing artwork. This is some of Robert Wilcox's Red Wolf, North Carolina pictures. It's a whole family that he's been able to document over a year period. If you friend him on Facebook, that's all he has on his Facebook account, just pictures of the red wolves he works with. Amazing pictures. Other collaborations, like I told you guys about both of these. So if you want to look up more information on, those are the organizations that we're working with. And we're still writing articles and trying to get, information out about urban foxes, feed them, that spiel. These are cars that we're feeding these, is that one that's in the front getting hit and killed. Just, we coexist and make, a healthy place for us and for them. And it's not that way. This is right here at LSU Lake. She had like 7 babies and they were just out in the middle of, middle of the day. Let's see, urban. So yeah, and we just have our, our Canid photo workshops. These are just pictures from that. This is who I work with. His name is Shane. He's out of Canada, and his website pictures are amazing. Fox, coyote pictures, wolves. Just some of our pictures from our workshops that we've done. We try to do a lot in urban areas too, because that's kind of where they are now, And this one was crossed. She looked before crossing. They're so smart. Babies on my camera. These are all from our workshops. And this is, we did a workshop in England this past year. The Fox Project let us follow them in their work. That's from this summer, one of our workshops. So we've got some local recognition, which is nice. Just Wildlife and Fisheries post about what we're trying to do, which is great. Got some national features, awesome. And right now, I'm just working on some documentary arts, having to do, like I told you guys, with Southwest Canid stuff, which is going to be exciting. So stay tuned for that. Do any of you guys, everybody here, I'm assuming, is aware that we had red wolves here? Yeah? Is there anybody who maybe doesn't realize that or doesn't know about the red wolf? I want to go through these. I'm going to take up too much time on this, but this is some kind of interesting stuff. So, as you guys know, so the wild canids of Louisiana, we have, this is a very old picture, but we did have red wolf, you see it. And the coyote was not until the 40s. So At one time we just had red wolves, red wolves, gray fox, and then red fox. This is a red wolf in the 20s in Caldwell Parish. It's a very large, tall, not like a gray wolf, tall animal, but they were pretty svelte, not big and bulky like a wolf you might see in Alaska or something. This was their historic range. In the 1970s, they pulled them all out that they could, any of them that they could find down in that red area. And then they put them into a captive breeding program. And that's what has been released up in the yellow area, North Carolina, since 1987. And their numbers were as high as 200 plus. But then in 2013, they made some really stupid choices, and they allowed hunting of coyotes at night, which a lot of red wolves got shot. They also allowed landowners to start to get permits to kill them. There were just a lot of really bad choices that they made, and now their number's down to 7. It's really depressing. So that's our endemic wolf. So it's a sad thing that we've let that happen. So this is just one, the first time that we see an occurrence of it written about was in 1699. So that was Audubon's picture of it. This was in the 70s. They were basically east of the Mississippi. They were already gone. In those areas where you see the little black dots, or where they had some populations possibly still hanging around in the 70s, 60s, 50s. And there was a black version, which was seen up north Louisiana a lot. They were very dark. So these are just some of the predator control pictures that, and this actually, Doc Harris he worked for Wildlife Fisheries. I met with his son, who's 82 now, and he's a cool guy up in Wynn Parish. He's got a radio show, and I got to sit down and talk to him about his dad and wolves, and he showed me all these great old pictures. It was really cool. But there's one of the black wolves. That's up in like Tensaw. No, I'm sorry, that was in Winfield. That's also North Louisiana. This is in like Tensaw, where like the whole like Singer Tract red wolf, Ivory-bill woodpecker. Look at this, a big animal, 1950. So anyway, when we started to kill those, basically decimated that entire population of the, red wolves, that's what helped those coyotes move in. So the coyotes moved in, and by 1947, they were here. But they've got a lot of red wolf blood in them. There was a hybrid swarm that came through. So they do look a little bit bigger than what you would see out west. So there's a red wolf on the left and a coyote on the right. Those ears are huge. And there they are. But, it's apparently, for hunters, I don't think they shouldn't be shooting these guys at night, because they're not that different looking really. So a couple years ago, they had they had 2 studies come up. There's a pretty high instance of red wolf blood that's popping up in these canids and where that core population was that they pulled in the 70s from. So in Southwest Louisiana, and also in Southeast Texas. So these are the ones out in Texas. They had up to 70% red wolf in them. They're big. I've been out to see them. They're big animals. They're tall. They just don't look, they look like they've mixed with dogs or something. They didn't have any dog in them though, in their DNA. But this is what Princeton is studying. And this is what caused USFWS to set up that whole study that they're going to be doing down here with the canids. And so this is the paper, if anybody wants to read it, on the Louisiana ones that came out 2 years ago. And that's the Canine Ancestry Project, if anybody's interested about the genetics and what they're doing and what I've been taking DNA samples for. And then this was the call that they put out last year to determine the wild canids in southeastern United States, which is basically, they mean down here. And that's all I got. So do y'all have any more questions?
I have wanted to know if there's any benefit to the ecosystem for coyotes, and what do they eat?
Yes. Coyotes are amazing. And because what's happened with coyotes is that because we have exterminated all the wolves, they've basically they're filling the niche of that absent animal that was, of course, part of a very balanced ecosystem before we got here. So it's interesting because basically they're starting to I mean, you could also say in some ways their behavior is more similar, more reminiscent of red wolves down here now, the ones that have moved in from the east. So yeah, they're filling a niche. They wouldn't be here otherwise. That's something we have to remember about wild animals. They're only, especially predators. Okay, so a deer, that's different. If we have an overpopulation of deer, that's because they don't have a predator that's taking them out and keeping them in check. But predators, on the other hand, I mean, they're basically, it's like self-management as far as their populations go. They don't overproduce. So predators have to have a certain amount of resources in order for them to have a healthy population. So the fact that we have healthy populations of things like foxes and coyotes means it's whatever they need, we're providing them, or the environment around us is providing them. If you think about humans, why would they want to live close to us? Well, think about all the rats that we bring in from our trash and our refuse, and think about, the abandoned buildings that might help these guys, for a place to den. Those edge species like raccoons, coyotes, and foxes means that they like that. They like to be on the edge of a little bit of wild and then near human altered environments. They benefit and they thrive on that. So yeah, coyotes definitely have an amazing place in the environment. They help to keep, it's kind of like foxes, but they will, I mean, they hunt larger animals as well. So like nutria, raccoons, deer is in the Northeast, they do hunt deer. I don't know if that's a thing here, but the larger coyotes that are up in the Northeast, they do sometimes hunt deer. But they also take out, they're sort of like I think of them kind of like vultures, because they're also big on scavenging, which is fantastic. So yeah, I mean, they're, the ones around here that I've seen on my camera, I've seen them with rabbit, I've seen them with wood rats. I've seen them with anything, that's really the only things I've seen them with. And bobcats, I've seen bobcats, and squirrels, and I've got bobcats out here too. But yeah, every predator every animal, especially predators, they have a place in the ecosystem. If we didn't have them, it would be incredibly bad. We would be overrun with rodents, and it would just throw everything off. So
Go
ahead.
Oh, another question was they asked that you said more, if you would say more about the red wolf, and wanted to know if our endemic wolf would take care of our nutria problem.
Yes, actually, yes. And what's so cool is that there's some papers when they were, that decade when they were trying to capture all the red wolves down on the coast, like when they were trying to bring them in to put them in the breeding program, there was a couple of papers that came out, and they were studying like the parasites that they were finding on them and stuff. And one of the things does talk about what they were eating. And the majority of what they were eating down there were nutria and muskrat and nutria. So yes, they would. Coyotes, I know they eat nutria too. But yeah, red wolves, they were, because they're out in the marshes, they were marsh animals, So yeah, wouldn't that be amazing? I already thought about that. I was like, we should release them, let them take care of the nutria. So yeah. If you want any information on the red wolf, there's a couple books out. If you email me, if you're interested in any information, I can point you in the right direction. I've got all the good information on that, and the books I can link you to that stuff too. Anybody else?
All righty. Thank you so much, Amy. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Amy. That was great. I'm going to try and get some more information. I may need to call you a little later to ask a couple questions, and see if you might be able to share a picture or two for the paper.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, just email me, and I'll send you guys, Colette. I can send you the links to the PDFs and all that stuff too, and you're welcome to pass it around to whoever
Okay.
would like
Yeah.
it. Okay.
Where we'd like to, well, whenever we get back to doing in-person tabling or whatever, we will definitely have that out at our table. But for our mammals classes, we may want to make sure maybe that's a component from now on in the mammals class.
Yeah, absolutely. And that, like I said, the PDFs have pretty nice sections on the natural history, so
Mhm.
of both species.
Okay.
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 Cool.
Very good. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. And
Love the photos. We couldn't have asked for a better photo presentation. So they make you want to drool.
oh, thank you.
Oh my goodness.
All right. Well, you guys have a good night.
Thanks, Amy.
right.
Appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye.